So, what are the common themes you're seeing between the cases that you are presiding over?
Uh, we've seen, okay, well, to give you some examples, none of the women that contacted us following their rape or serious sexual assault had been aware at the time that they could report to the civilian police. Even though technically in the policy they could have done, they didn't know about that. And once they report it up through their chain of command reports it to the military police. And once it's in there, you can't, it's very, very hard to get it back and over to the civilian side. So it tends to stay there. So that was a very common theme. Um, None of them were satisfied with the outcome. I mean, you might say that's kind of obvious because otherwise they wouldn't have sought advice about it. But it was striking that none of them reported a satisfactory outcome either to their efforts to bring it to the attention of the police and the criminal outcome or the service complaints outcome. So in either respect, they were unhappy with the outcome. All of them report horrendous delays. I know that's a common problem, but I think in the military there are particularly awful and extensive delays, which seem to be worse than the civilian system. They all describe problems with the quality of the policing and the quality of the lawyers prosecuting those cases at the court martial. They were not impressed with the quality of that work as compared to the lawyers acting for the defendants, who they said were clearly a lot better. There was a complete lack of understanding or availability of legal advice for people.
Oh, 1 second, Emma. Would you mind moving that? I think it just bumped on your microphone just for a sec.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
There we
Is
go.
that better?
That's better.
Sorry.
But we still heard it.
Yeah.
But say that last sentence again.
For those that were trying to raise complaints internally, there was a lack of availability of independent advice and support for them to do that effectively, which meant that they were essentially on their own through this very long, drawn out, horrendous, re traumatizing process. All of them were re traumatized by their experiences, undoubtedly. So it's not just the, I suppose you would say, the normal trauma of having been through, so been the victim of a serious sexual offence and then going through some sort of criminal law process. The additional processes that they were going through inside their units were fundamentally re-traumatizing.
There was complete failure on the chain of command to support them in their units. I heard that bit.
Yeah, exactly. Just did not know. Commanding officers were just not aware of the policy that is in place that is supposed to help guide them in the very difficult task of supporting somebody in their unit that has been the victim of a sexual assault. There's a policy that exists. It was actually designed after the Element case. They don't know about it. They're not applying it. So in all of our cases, we're having to raise this issue. It's the same thing happening over and over again across all three branches. The Oh yes, in at least three of my cases, the victim herself was told that she would be the subject of some sort of disciplinary investigation after the rape or serious sexual assault was dismissed. Then what will happen is the commanding officer will want to find out what happened, will want to get to the bottom of what happened, even though there's been an acquittal. And in that situation, that will involve interviewing the victim. Can you imagine? That's like, so you've accused somebody of raping you, it hasn't gone to court, you're back at work, and your boss says, I'm now going to interview you about what happened, and you have to talk to your boss, who's usually male, about that. Completely unacceptable, but that's happened in some of my cases.